Hi there, in this video we're going to look at the basic views of Live and quickly go over what they do and how they can be used. When you first open Live, you're going to see a view somewhat similar to this. You probably will have a demo song. I don't have that because I've gotten rid of it in my default file. But you will still see a lot of the other windows that are open here, and we'll go through them one by one. Let's start over here on the right. We have the live lessons. And the live lessons are a set of tutorials that will walk you through specific aspects of Live and sort of guide you step by step how to do it. And I highly recommend that you read them. You can close them if you want more screen real estate in the Live window by clicking on that X there. And if you want to see it again, go to the Help menu, select Help View, and they come back. No matter where you are in here, by the way, you can always get back to the main window by hitting the home icon here, and that takes you back to the main live lesson view. So let's close that. We got a little bit more space here now. Also in the help menu is read the live manual. And if you select that, Live will open up a PDF for you. And this is the manual. I highly recommend that you read that. It's very long. You may want to print it out. It's pretty good to have for a reference. Now, what we have left here are some of the main views that you're going to use. And of the window that we're looking at now, this main part here, this larger section here is called the session view. And this is where Live will default to open to. Live has two main windows, the session view and the arrangement view. Right here we are looking at the session view, and the session view has the tracks arranged vertically. Where the arrangement view, when we get to that, we're going to see that they are horizontal. Each one of these names here talks about what a track is. So this is a MIDI track, this is a MIDI track, this is an audio track, and this is an audio track. So obviously we can record our flute or a guitar, whatever we have, anything that's audio, a singer, on an audio track. MIDI would be something that involves MIDI, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. Over here we have effects that are built in, reverb and delay. We'll talk about those, but they're ready to go. And then finally we have the master. So of these sections here, we have all these 4 tracks here, and we can add and subtract tracks. We'll get into that at a later time too. And they can all be sent to the master that outputs to your main audio input device, like a Scarlett, for example. On the left-hand side here, we have the browser. The browser is the main window for selecting things and pulling them into Live. So here we have categories, sounds, drums, instruments, audio effects. I can grab any of these and I can drag them here, and it'll create a track that will correspond to making that work, or I can be in a track and then drag it down here. Again, the browser is how you get things into Live. There's the main categories here and then the subcategories. We can adjust the view here by clicking on this line here and making this bigger if we need more space. And then if we want to adjust the subcategories compared to the main categories, we can do the middle line here as well. Now, I do want to mention that if you're looking at what I'm looking at in this video and you don't see the same thing, for example, in instruments here, if you're working in something other than Suite, which I'm using, you will see less of these because Standard and Light or Intro come with less built-in instruments. Same thing with audio effects and MIDI effects. You may not see the same things here, but that's okay. We're going to work around the limitations of those 2 different versions. So that's the browser. Underneath that, we have the info view. The info view changes depending upon what you're hovered over. So if I'm hovered over the browser now, it's going to kind of give me a little bit of information about what that does. If I hover over the clip slots, it's going to give me a little bit of information over that. If I hover over this section, it's going to tell me what it is. It's sort of a real-time way of accessing some basic information about where you are at any time, including itself. It'll actually tell you what it does. And then down here on this window on the bottom, this pane here, this is the detail view. And the detail view is where you will edit audio. So this would be a flute, for example, or a guitar. This is where you can actually manipulate and edit it and see the waveforms. Or you can edit MIDI. For example, if you played some notes in, you can see the notes displayed on a piano keyboard. We'll look at this a little bit later. This is where that happens. And if you were putting in a synthesizer, one of these instruments here, or an audio effect or MIDI effect, you can edit the parameters down here too. So this is the main edit window. Now, if we want to not have these taking up too much real estate space on the live screen, we can make these appear and disappear at our discretion. And the way we do this with the mouse is we can click on these reveal arrows. So this top one here on the top left is associated with the browser. If I click on it, the browser hides itself and we have a little bit more real estate here. If I click on it again, it comes back. So we can show or hide them depending upon whether or not we need them. Same thing with the info view. That's the lower left-hand triangle. It will hide and show it. And the detail view, the lower right-hand triangle, will also hide and enable the view of that. All of these can be found in the View menu. And when you find them, you will also see the associated key commands. And I like the key commands. I find them very helpful. For example, the Show Hide Detail View on a Macintosh, the key command is Command-Option-L. So if on my keyboard I hit Command-Option-L, I can toggle back and forth between those. And I don't have to click with my mouse. It's just a different way of working. Now again, this is the session view, and just a brief look at the session view. We have clip slots here. We will talk about what clips are in a later video. We have the in and out section. The in and out section determines where you're pulling material from, be it audio or MIDI, and then from there where it's going to go. So the in and then the out of the signal that you're sending it. The monitor determines what you will hear at any specific time. This section here is the mixer. We are going to look at the mixer in more detail in other videos. Just for now, know that the mixer is where you blend the different sources together and they in turn get sent to wherever they're assigned in the output, which again, we'll look at that in more detail. Right now, these two audio tracks are sent to the master fader. This is the master fader here, and this is where the signal goes when it finally leaves live, whether it goes to your computer's I/O card or if it goes to a Scarlett or some other audio interface. This is where that goes, and that'll be set up in the preferences, and we'll look at that later. So again, this is the session view, and the session view is vertically aligned. Each track is vertically aligned, and you can see here we have 4 tracks, 1 MIDI, 2 MIDI, 3 audio, 4 audio. So 4 tracks, 2 MIDI, 2 audio, and they are vertically aligned. The arrangement view is going to show the same thing, but horizontally aligned. And we can get to the arrangement view by going over to these buttons here. Right now, the session view is lit up in yellow because the bars are vertical. If I click the horizontal one, it's going to go to the arrangement view. And just like the horizontal lines in the button, the tracks are now arranged horizontally. So once again, we have 1 MIDI, 2 MIDI, 3 audio, and 4 audio. So the exact same tracks, but seen in a different way. We have them vertically and horizontally. Beyond the way they look, session view and the arrange view behave differently. And we'll talk about that in further videos because they are a little bit more in depth. But you will see if I go back to the session view, here's the mixer, here's the audio input, here's the master. Again, we have the audio input, we have the mixer, we have the master. So certain things are similar. And there's some other aspects that are similar that we'll talk about in subsequent videos. So these are the 2 main views. Now let's finish up with some of the top controls up here. This is the transport control, the transport bar. Transport bar will show you a position counter. The first number on the left-hand side shows you bars, then or measures, then the beat within a measure, and then a 1/16 of a measure. The triangle is the play triangle, so if you click on it, it'll start it playing, and you will see that the counter starts counting, and here in this view, the cursor starts to move through time. If I hit stop, it stops it. So play and stop. There really isn't a pause here. And then if I record enable track, I can go into record and record from here. I don't have anything set up right now, so we'll talk about recording later. some of these other buttons we will also save for later videos, but let's talk about the few here that we're going to use more commonly in upcoming videos. This is your tempo. So the tempo of your song will be determined by what's set here. You can actually go in and type in a value. So 80, 60, 144, I can do all of that. Or I can click on it and then drag back and forth. Now, while I'm dragging on this, you'll see that the timeline, here it's bars or measures, so measure 1, measure 5, measure 9, but down here it's real time. And as I am changing the tempo and changing how fast time is going by, it will actually recalibrate that. So real time obviously is dependent upon your tempo. All right. Then here is the time signature, or the meter of the song that you're working in. Right now it says 4/4. If I wanted to change that to 3/4, I change that to 3/4. I could put it into 6/8. And now it changes the meter to 6/8. Let's go back to 4/4. So this is how you determine the meter of your song. This is the metronome or click track. So when you're recording, if you want to stay in time with all the other tracks, this is where you would turn that on. And you can control from this drop-down menu how it behaves. And we'll look at that a little bit later. And this quantize menu we'll look at in a little bit more detail in further videos. All right, so this is a very basic look at how Live is set up. And again, remember we have the two main views. We have the session view and the arrange view, the transport control, and then the different aspects of each view that they share. And I suggest that you review this video and go over it a couple more times. And then we're going to be looking at each of the different sections in a little bit more detail in further videos. All right, I'll see you in the next video.